and welcome. Today I am going to play Fallschirm, a game released in the B-35 system, a company battalion scale system about the major operations of the World War II, and this game is focused on the German airborne operations during the World War II. Most of them are historical ones, but one of them, and I think one of the most interesting, is hypothetical German attack on Malta. Plans to capture Malta appeared in the Italian headquarters in the middle of 30s, but Italians knew that their navy is not strong enough to provide enough power to take control over the entire Mediterranean Sea area around Malta, and their air force is not strong enough to transport all the Italian units by air onto the island. So they give up with these plans, put them somewhere deep and forgot about them. But these plans returned some years later during the World War II. Germans were aware that Malta is a key point of Mediterranean Sea, and as long as England controlled this island, all their convoys coming from Italy to the North Africa were in grave danger. Because of that, they started to create a plan to capture Malta. It was named under the codename of Hercule, and Germans were certain that such operation is possible, but it will be extremely costly. It was based upon their experiences from Crete. But there were at last three generals who were strongly against strongly for this operation. First of them was Rommel, who knew that as long as Malta is in British hands, then his forces in North Africa can't get enough supply. Next one was General Albert Kesselring, a commander of Luftwaffe in Italy. And the third one was General Kurt Student, who was a commander of the German airborne forces. But against them stood two even more powerful men. First of them was Hermann Göring, commander of Luftwaffe, who knew that a failure of such operation might put his own political career into grave danger. He knew how big losses Luftwaffe suffered during the Operation Mercury, so he wasn't eager to start yet another risky operation. And even more important of them was Adolf Hitler himself. He was against such operations, again because of the Operation Mercury. German airborne forces captured Crete, of course, but they suffered heavy losses, and Hitler, remembering about it, was strongly against such operations. But this game allows us to check if such operation was even possible. It comes with two different scenarios. First of them, Operation Hercule, is about German and Italian joint attack on Malta, and the other, Folgiore, is about solitary Italian attack on Malta. I think that the first scenario, Hercule, is kinda better because Germans and Italians working together have some chance to capture Crete. Italians alone, well, their scenario is semi-suicidal attack. So I'm going to show you Hercule scenario today. I am not going to play all the game. I think that playing two or maybe three, we will see, turns will be enough to show you basics of this game, of this system, and of these mechanics. I made a couple other of videos about the B-35 system, since it is one of my fav and one of the longest I played since about 90s. But I think that one more video wouldn't be a problem, and it could be interesting because this scenario comes with airborne operations, sea landing operations, air operations, so this can be quite an interesting play. Like all the games of this system, this one is using columns and tables to express units' strength. Here we have for Germans and Italians. I have a Polish edition of this game, but it was released in English as well. And here is for Allies. So I usually make a copy of them so I can use it for the various games. And now in this game, Allied setup is fixed, so they have their starting hexes set up. And as for Germans, they have three landing zones, and they can set up their units in the 2 hexes range from each of these 3 hexes. There is also a free variant when you can when each side can set up its forces as it like. So first British player sets up his forces, and then German player chooses his landing zones. But I am playing a scenario where all the British units are set up, and German player is going to choose where his units are going to land, but in the designated landing zones. You can see that there are some anti-air artillery here, so I have to make sure that my units won't be landing too close to them, because when airborne unit lands on the hex adjacent to the anti-air artillery or on the hex with anti-air artillery, it may suffer additional losses. Even so, here we have hills, and landing on the hills is also risky, so units might suffer some losses because of landing on the hills. Finally, or maybe not finally, before the game starts, and we have to make a roll for our units flying towards Malta if they won't suffer any additional losses. And then in each turn, when new division is used for Germans, then we have to make additional rolls for possible losses during the transport. Finally, and I think this is finally, if our unit lands on the enemy unit or on the hex adjacent to the enemy unit, it has to attack this unit instantly. So you can see that such operation was risky and probably very costly. Okay, so let's start the game. We are starting with turn 1. Let's take a look. You can see that each day is divided into 3 turns, 2 daily turns and 1 night turn. And we are starting with May 11 of 1943 and the turn 1. First we have an air phase. In the air phase, each side places its air units on the board. In this scenario, only Germans have their air units, so we don't have to resolve any fighter combat, and we can place our units and to perform any operations with them. So we have 2 Italian bombers units, we have 2 German bombers units, and 3 German ground attack air force units. Bombers are designed to make direct attacks against enemy infrastructure and units, while ground attack units might perform independent attack on enemy installations or units, or support combat of friendly units. And that's where I'm going to use my ground attack air force. So I am going to place them here, there and there. Why here? Or maybe not, maybe here. Because they can operate in the 5 hexes range from the hex they were placed. And now I have to check if they are not in the range of enemy anti-air artillery unit, and no, none of them is, because light anti-air artillery has 1 hex range and heavy anti-air artillery has 2 hexes range. Next, my bombers. I have 4 bombers units and I can place them to attack enemy units or installations. Okay, all my bombers are placed, so I can resolve their attacks. I will start here. My Italian bombers are attacking this British battalion, and the British unit is in the town, so it will be -1 die roll modifier for this attack because of enemy being in the town. We are using bomber units attack table. Our unit has 5 points, so we will be using this verse. All the bombers have 5 strength points at the beginning. They might get less because of enemy anti-air artillery. So let's make a roll with -1 modifier. 1, oh, -1 is 0. So units, no losses. Italians are returning home for the pizza. And now let's make another attack here. German bombers are attacking this British battalion. They are on the hills, so there is -2 modifier. 6. 6 minus 2 is 4. This means that unit suffers 20% of its losses, of its strength point. It is always rounded up. So let's check for this unit's strength. It is 2nd KOMR. It has 3 points, so it loses 1. And German bombers are returning home. Now, who is going to be next? Here, same situation. No, they are in the town, so they have -1. 6 minus 1 is 5, so they suffer 1 strength point loss. Either, yeah, they have 3, so now they lost 1. And finally, Italian bombers here are attacking British artillery, and they are in the range of enemy heavy anti-air artillery. So I have a make a roll to check if they weren't hit. I am using anti-aircraft fire against bombers and 2 hexes range for heavy anti-air artillery. Let me roll. 3. So bombers lost 1 point. I need to check. This is 2nd unit of Italian bombers. So now they have 4. So they are attacking with 4 strength points. And British artillery is in town. So they have -1. And 2, it is 1. With the strength of 1, it is a miss. So go back home, guys. So that's all for air force attacks, because these units are not going to attack now. They can, and there is an option for the ground attack air force to attack enemy units, but I think they are more effective when they are supporting attacks of the German units. So now that's all when it comes to the air phase, and we are moving into airborne phase, where I have to set up my airborne units. So here is their setup. I have 3 regiments from 7th Airborne Division and 1 independent assault regiment. They are all set up, but these are not their initial hexes. I mean, these are the hexes chosen, and they were chosen to land, but I have to check if they will really land on these hexes. For each of these units, I have to make several rolls. I will start here and moving through there. First, I have to make a roll if they are landing on the designated hexes or they are moved on one of the adjacent hexes. I will start with them, if I will roll 5 or 6, they are landing on the designated hex, and if not, they are moved. Let's start here. 6, good. They are landing on this hex, and now this is hill hex. So I have to make a roll to see if they suffered any losses. But first, I almost forgot, yes. Before our units arriving on Malta, I have to make a roll to see if they suffered any losses during the transport. Oh hell. Okay, it was one of the worst possible rolls, because 5 means that I have subtract 7 strength points from units of this division before they arrive on Malta. That's because of the Royal Air Force operations and so and so. So I have to subtract 7 points from this division. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, no good. And now I need to make a roll for them for their possible losses during the landing on the hills. There are 2 tables for airborne losses during the drop, one for airborne units and one for the glider flying units. We are airborne landing unit. You can tell because there is a parachute symbol behind unit silhouette, and if it's a glider unit, it has glider symbol just like this one. They are going to arrive later. Okay, so let's make a roll. 4. This means they suffer 1 strength point loss. This is 1st Battalion of the 1st Regiment. Okay. And next. Now them. Let's see where they land. On the given hex, which is good. And now their losses. 1. Oh, they suffer no losses. Good. Now for this battalion. 4. So they are moved. I have to make a roll. 5. And now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So they are landing on this hex. And I have to make a roll for the losses. 1. No losses. Finally, this company. 5. Good. They are landing on this hex. And their losses 3. 1 point. Yeah, 1 point. No good, because these combat engineers companies are very weak. They have only 2 strength points, so they are very vulnerable. Alright, so that's for them. Now this group. Let's start with this battalion. 2, they are moved. 6, it was... so they are moved here. Okay, this is not good. And first I have to make a roll for the attack of the anti-air artillery. This is light anti-air artillery, and it is in the 1 hex range, so let's make a roll. Oh my, 5. This means they suffer 3 points loss. It is 2nd Battalion of the 2nd Regiment. No good. Now, I have to make a roll for the losses because of the hills. 2. No losses. Good. And finally, since they are landing on the adjacent to the enemy unit, they have to attack this unit instantly. So we have to resolve this the combat here. So let's do it. First, I need to make a roll for possible surprise of the landing units. 2. Oh my! Attacking unit suffers 3 points loss. Let me check if they will survive. 1, 2, 3. No! They are instantly eliminated. Okay, that was really bad. And who's going to be next? They, I think... yeah, they already landed. So now this battalion. 1, they are moved. Where? 2. So 1, 2. They are moved here. No good. Now losses first they are in the 2 hexes range from heavy artillery, so I have to make a roll for heavy anti-air artillery. 4. 1 point loss. Not very bad. Okay, and now their losses because of the hills. 5, 1 point. And finally, they are landing adjacent to the enemy units, so they have to attack them. Oh, and this is going to be bad. First, roll before combat for the possible surprise of any of the sides. 7. This is nothing, so we have no effect. And now we have to resolve a combat. And attacking units in this kind of combat can use only 2 of 3 of their strength points. So they have 3, 2. They have 3, so they can use only 2. And Brits have 3, and this combat engineers company has 2. So they have 5 against 2. So this is 2 against 5. 2 against 5 is 2 to 1, 3 to 1, 4 to 1, because there are heals. So it's 4 to 1. Sounds bad. Let's go to the combat table. It is 1 to 4, it was 1 to 5. Let's make a roll. 5. It is A1. So attacker has to retreat 1 hex. And now we have to make rolls for the losses. Attacking unit had 2, and it was -2 because of the heals, so it's 1. No losses for Brits. And Brits had 5, and it was +2 because of the heals, so it's 11-15 verse. 6 in the 11-15 is 1. So Germans are losing 1 more strength point. Okay. Now you can see why Germans were a bit afraid of this operation. Next I have to make a roll for these combat engineers. 3, they are moved. 6, they are landing here. Oh, again we will have to fight. First I have to make a roll for losses from landing on the hills. 1, no losses, that's good. And now I have to resolve a combat. First, surprise roll. No, nothing. I believe 8, 8, 8. Yes, 8 is nothing. So I have 1 against 3. So it is 1 to 4, 1 to 5, 1 to 6. So the final column is 1 to 4. And I have +1 because my combat engineers have +1 modifier when they are attacking. So it's still 1 to 4. Very bad. 4, A1. So they have to retreat 1 hex. And now losses. They had 1. 11. Oh, that was close. They were actually... They almost managed to provide some losses to Brits. But they failed. And now British unit, it had 3 and +2 because of the heals. So it's 6-10 verse. 3. Germans are losing 1 point. It was second combat engineers company. Okay, and finally headquarter of our brave German division, which is here. 5, it lands on the designated hex, which is pretty good. This is a clear terrain, so we suffer no losses. Good. Okay, that was very bloody, and let's see if they will do better. I will start with them. 6, good, they are landing where they wanted. And now for landing on the hill, 4, 1 point loss. 2, 3. Now them. 1, they are moved. 6, so they are landing on this hex, which is even good, because if we would land here or there, we would be in a range of heavy artillery, and here we are not. Okay, so now let's make a roll for losses. 3, 1 point loss. Next, this battalion. 1, they are moved. 1, 2. Oh my, this is pretty bad. They are landing on the hex adjacent to the enemy heavy anti-air artillery. This can be very dangerous. 3, 2 points loss. 1, 3. Now, because of the landing on the hills, 3 1-point loss. And now they have to attack this anti-air artillery unit. You can see that it has movement allowance of 0. This means that if it's forced to retreat, then it has to suffer losses. So, they have 2, and this anti-air artillery unit has a strength of 3. Oh, this is... I don't think they will be able to force it to retreat. It was 2 against 3, so it's 1 to 2, and plus 2 column shift because defender is on the hill, so it's 1 to 4. 5 A1. Attacker is forced to retreat, and now losses. Germans had 2, minus 2 because of the hills, so it's here. 5, no losses for Brits, and now for Brits they had 3, 1, 2 because of the hills, 6, 10, 9 in the 6, 10, it's minus 1 for Germans. Okay, so it was 1, 3. Okay, and now for the units of this assault regiment. I will start with this one. Five, they are landing on the designated hex, very good, and their losses from the hills is minus 1. So 2m minus 1. Not bad. Now them. 5, again they are landing on the designated hex. 2, there were hills. I think 2, it was no losses. Yes, no losses. Very good. And now them. 2, they are moved. 2, so they are landing here. They are from the 2 hexes range of heavy anti-air artillery. 3, no losses, good. And now losses because of the hills. 4, 1-point loss. And finally this artillery. 3, so they are moved. And 6. Oh, good. Because if they would land on the C hex, they would suffer huge losses. So they are landing here. These are hills, so let's roll for hills losses. 1-point loss. Okay, and that's all for the airborne phase. We made all our units landing. Some of them suffered heavy losses. We lost 1 battalion, but at last they are where they wanted to be. So I think this is not bad. We can go into the next phase, which is artillery barrage phase, but none of the German units have enough artillery to perform any barrage. This can be only allowed when you have at last 9 points of artillery used in the single attack, and now all the German artillery they have has only 2 strength points, so it cannot make any barrage. Next we have naval landing phase, but I'm not going to do it in this turn. I have a couple of Italian units that might perform sea landing, but I think I will try to clear some area with my land units, with my airborne units, and then I will land with my sea units when there will be better and safer to land. So next I have movement phase, and now I am allowed to move all my German units. And now, which is pretty important to remember, units that are landing from the sea or from the air can use only half of their movement points during the next movement phase. So all they have 5 movement points, but they can use only 2.5. So let's move them. And what I'm going to do, I will attack here. So I am just spending a half of movement point because I am moving down the road. They are spending 2 movement points to move here on the hill hex, and now a half of movement point to move here. They are spending 2 movement points to move here, and they are spending 2 movement points to move here, and half to move there. Okay, that's for them. Now they are moving here, they are moving there, and 1, 2, 1.5. So that's all for this part. And now here, I think they are the most important of my groups, because I need to capture towns that are adjacent to the sea hex, so I will be able to unload more of my units. I think this town of Kalafrana might be the best target, so that's where I'm going attack. They are moving down the road here, and now a half, 1, a half, 2, 2.5, a half, 1, a half, 2, 2.5, same to them, and this artillery will remain here. So that's when it comes to the German movement phase. And now we have Allied counterattack phase. In the counterattack phase, you can move your units 1 hex, but only those that are not in the enemy zones of control. So, for example, I wouldn't be able to move this British unit because it is in the enemy zone of control. Same to them, or to any of them or them. But I can move any of my other units 1 hex to attack enemy units. That's why this is called counterattack phase. And I think I will try to do some counterattack with these tanks. They will move here and they will attack this German airborne battalion. And do I have any other opportunities to perform counterattack? Well, they might try to attack this battalion, but I think they are not strong enough to do so. So that's all for the counterattack movement, and now I am going to perform a counterattack here. So I have to check how strong these tanks are. They are 5, so they have 5 against 1, 2, against 4. So it's 1 to 1. And now they have modifier of +2 because of the stars. And modifier is lowered by 1 if there are no infantry units among the attacking. If tanks attack alone without support of infantry, their modifier is lowered by 1. So they have 1 against there was 1 to 1, now it is 1 to 2, it is 2 to 1 because of the modifier, and 2 to 1 and 1 to 1 and 1 to 2 because defender is on the hill. So it's 1 to 2, let's make a roll, 5. 5 in the 1 to 2 is nothing, so no one moves, and now I have to make a roll for losses. Allies had 5, +1 because of the tank modifier, -2 because of the hills, so it's 2-3 verse, and it is 6, no losses for Germans. And next I have to make a roll for Allied losses. Germans had 4, +2 because of the hills, and -1 because of the tank modifier, so it's 6-10, and 5. This means that British unit suffers 1 point loss. But despite these losses, this German unit cannot be used in any other attacks during the combat phase. So we are moving into the next phase, which is German combat phase. In this phase, German units have to attack all the enemy units that are in their zones of control. Save to the units that fought during the counterattack phase, like here. And now I have 3 of my ground attack Air Force units that I can use to support my attacks. Let's start here. I will use my ground attack Air Force units to support this combat, and now I have checked for strength. There is 1-1 and 1-2 and 2-1, so they have total of 7 strength points and plus 5 from this unit, so I have 5 plus 7, so it's 12. 12 against 3, I believe, but I need to check to make sure. No, they have 2, because they were attacked by bombers. So I have 12 against 2, so it is 6-1. It is 6-1, and now they are in the town, so it's 5-1. Let's make a roll. 6 in the 5-1. It is B2. So defender has to retreat 2 hexes. 1, 2, and the Germans might move here, here, and they can move here as well, but I will move there instead. And now I have to make rolls for losses. First, Germans had 12, so it's 11-15, minus 2 because of the hills, so it's 4-5 verse. 6, no losses for allies, and now allies had 2, plus 2 because of the hills, so it's 6-10, and 11. Oh my! So Germans suffered 2 points losses, no good. Alright, next battle goes here. Oh, I can remove this unit. This battalion is attacking this light anti-air unit, and they have 3 points. And now, if infantry attacks light anti-air unit, its strength is halved, because such light anti-air guns were very effective against infantry. So I have 3. So Germans have their strength halved into 2, and British unit has 2 strength points. So we have 2 against 2, so it's 1-1, and British unit is on the hills, so we have minus 2 column shift in favor of the defender, so we moved to the 1, 2, 3. That's why I wanted to attack with 2 units, and we have 9 in the 1, 2, 3. It is A2, so attacker has to retreat 2 hexes, and now I have to make a roll for losses. It is 2, each side has 2, it is minus 2 for Germans because of the hills, no losses for allies, and now for German losses, 7, no losses for Germans either. Okay, next combat is here. I have 3-2 has... Oh, just 2. Plus 1, and this in plus 2, so I have 4 against 2. It is 2-1 for Germans, 3-1 because of the combat engineers support, so I have 3-1, and 2-1, 1-1 because of the hills. So it's 1-1. Oh, 9. Not a very good roll. It is A1. Attacker retreats 1 hex. Oh, I hoped I will be able to make Brits to withdraw, but looks like I failed. So now let's go and check for losses. Germans had 4, plus minus 2 because of the hills, so this verse. Yes, combat engineers provide only column shift for combat table, but not for the combat losses table. So, no losses for Brits, and now German losses, 8. It was 2-3 plus 2, 1 point loss for Germans. Alright, and next battle goes here, and I will use this ground attack air force to support this attack. So, what do I have here? Let me check. 4 and 4, so they, yes, they have 8 plus 5. 8 plus 5 is 13. 13 against 4 is 3 to 1, and 2 to 1 because of the town. So it's 2 to 1, 9. 9 in the 2 to 1 is nothing. So each side remains on its hex. And now losses. Germans had 12, 13, so it's 11, 15, minus 1 because of the hills, because of the town, so it's 6, 10. 7 in the 6, 10, oh, no losses for Brits. And Brits had 4 plus 1 because of the town, 6, 10, and 9, 1 point loss for Germans. I would say that the Germans have not very good luck with die rolls in this game. And now, these two battalions are attacking this heavy anti-air artillery. So they have 6 together, and this British artillery has 3. Oh, it's pretty strong. They have 6 against 3, so it's 1 to 2 to 1, 1 to 1, 1 to 2 because of the hills. 6 in the 1 to 2, A1. Attacker retreats. Okay, Germans have bad luck. And now losses. Germans had 6, minus 2 because of the hills, 2 to reverse, 11, yeah! So at last the British unit is losing 1 point. And now for German losses, Germans are losing 1 point as well. Okay, and the final battle. Final battle goes here. I will use my ground attack air force as well, and I'm attacking this hex, and because of attacking this hex, I have to make a roll for enemy heavy anti-air artillery. 5. Oh, I think this is bad. Let me check. So I'm checking checking this table. I am attacking adjacent hex. Heavy 5U minus 1. So this means that attacking air unit suffers 1 point loss and is forced to withdraw. So it cannot support this combat. That's bad. And finally, battle. I am attacking this unit only because this anti-air unit was attacked by them, so I don't have to attack this unit. And now I have 1 and 3 assault, so they have 8, and I will use my support of this artillery, which has 2, so I have 10 against this engineers company, which has 2. So it is 10 to 2, so it's 5 to 1, 5 to 1, 4 to 1, 3 to 1 because of the hills. 6 in the 3 to 1 is B1. So finally defender is forced to retreat. Germans are moving here, and now let's check for losses. Allied losses 5. Germans had 10, minus 2 is to 3, no losses for Brits, and German losses 8, 2 plus 2, it is 6, 10, 1 point loss for Germans. So I would say that the first turn is going to be very bloody for Germans for now. They suffered heavy losses and they achieved very little actually. Some of my plans to capture this town failed, as well as trying to reach into this town quickly too. So I think Germans are in very complicated situation now. Next we have a German supply phase, but units that are performing airdrop have supply for the first day of the combat without checking their supply bases. So all of them are in supply. Okay, that's all for German actions, and we are moving into the Allied actions. Allies have no airborne operations, no naval operations, so we are moving straight into the Allied movement phase. Yes, there is also artillery barrage phase, but to perform a barrage you have to use at last 11 points of your artillery, and I don't have enough points anywhere to use them at the single target. I know I have these coastal batteries here, most of them have a pretty impressive range, but they are fixed, they cannot be moved, and you can see that their field of fire is like that for each of them, so they are mostly targeting the sea, and they rarely can be used against landing units, land units. Okay, so that's all for barrage. Let's go to the movement phase, and what I'm going to do, I will start with this New Zealand battalion. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They will go here. Next, I will move 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, a half, 1, 1.5. Next, they will fortify themselves. Unit might fortify itself by spending all its movement points, and then it gets fortification counter. It provides +1 when such unit is defending. So sometimes it is pretty good to have such counter. I will also... Now, there is a question if I want to attack or not. I think I will try to make an attack here. They will fortify themselves. Same to them. And to all these infantry units here. They are also going to fortify themselves because they will need it if attacked. And this area is one of the key areas of the battlefield, so we have to make sure we will be able to defend this city. Alright, and now here I will also fortify my infantry units here as well, hoping they will be able to stand against the Germans. And now, anyone else? They will fortify themselves on this airfield, because airfields are also very important to keep, so let them stay here. And now these two battalions, I think I will let them stay here, so let's fortify them, because if Germans would like to land somewhere here, I need to have some units around as well. Alright, I think that's all when it comes to the British movement. Yes, that's all. Let's see if we are going to make any German counterattacks. Let's carry on with British attacks next. I will start here. I have these 3 battalions attacking this German battalion, and I will use the support of this British artillery. So, here I have 9 points, and I have also this is A, so it has 3. So 9 plus 3 is 12 against 3. So I have 12 against 3, so it's 4 to 1, 3 to 1 and 2 to 1 because of the heals. So it's 2 to 1. Oh, my Germans were die-hard defenders. So 12 in the 2 to 1, it is A1. So attacker is forced to retreat. Okay, that was unusual. I was almost certain that they will force Germans to retreat, but well, they failed. Okay, so let's do the losses. Allies had 12 and minus 2. No losses for Germans. Germans had 3 plus 2, 8. 1 point loss for Allies. Alright, who's going to attack next? Well, them. They are going to attack, and there is 8M has 4 and these tanks have 4. So I have 8 against 4. So it's 2 to 1, 3 to 1 and 4 to 1 thanks to the tanks modifier, and 3 to 1, 2 to 1 thanks to the heals. So it's 2 to 1 again. Oh gosh, Allies have really bad luck. 11, yes, again it is A1, so attacker has to retreat. Alright, so losses roll for Allies. 6. No losses for Germans. Wow, they are incredibly lucky. And now German losses. Sorry, Allied losses. 5. 1 point loss. Okay. Looks like die is more for Germans this time, and no more. Do I have any more attacks? Yes, I have one more attack here. So I have to check. I have 2 plus 3, so it's 5, and I will use this artillery. It has 5, so I have 10 against this unit. It has 2. Okay, it is 10 against 2, so it's 5 to 1. 6 to 1 because I have combat engineers. 5 to 1, 4 to 1 because of the heals. So it's 4 to 1 and 7 B1. So defender has to retreat 1 hex, and Allies can pursue it. I will leave. I will let this combat engineer stay here to protect airfield while they will pursue it. So now losses roll. Germans no losses. Allies. Oh, hell. 2 plus 2, it's 6, 10. 2 points. Okay. 3 KOMR. Any more attacks? No, I believe these are all Allied attacks. Well, they weren't very successful. And that's all for Allies when it comes to the combat. Next we have Allied supply phase. Well, all the Allied units are in supply. For now, none of them is surrounded by Germans, so they are fine. So that's all for the day 1. We are moving into day 2, and we are going to have some new stuff coming this day, because we have some German and Italian new units coming on board. We are starting with air phase, and you can see I already set up my AO units to use them. As for bombers, again I'm going to use them against enemy units. As for ground attack air force, I will use it to support my attacks. What is pretty important, you cannot use your bombers against enemy units that are adjacent to your own units. So, for example, I wouldn't be able to use my bombers against this unit because it is adjacent to my own, or against this unit because of the same. So I had to choose other targets, and first I'm going to attack this artillery, because eliminating enemy artillery would be very effective. Let me see if I will be able to do so. I have now I have minus, wait, they are in the fort, and the fort provides additional modifier. Let me check. -3. Okay, this is going to be harder. You can see there is a fort icon on this hex, so it is -3 for die roll. Is 0. Well, nothing. Next, these tanks. They are on the hills, so I am attacking them with these bombers. 1 again, nothing. Oh. Looks like our allies are lucky this time. Next, these 2 battalions are attacked by Italian bombers. 4. Oh well, finally I scored a hit. Let me check. These Italian bombers have 3 or 4. They have 4, so I need to use a verse of 4, and it was 4 -2 because of the hills, so it's 10%. So they have 3 and 3, so they have 6, so they suffer only 1 point loss. So 1C goes -1. Okay, finally some hit. And now here I'm going to attack this artillery, but since there is a heavy anti-air artillery, I have to make a roll to see if it was effective against my bombers. Oh my, I afraid it was. And yes, my bombers are suffering -2 loss. Okay, that was bad. It is 5th unit of bombers. They had 5, now they have 3. So I can attack with 3, and they are in the town, so it's 2, and they are attacking with the strength of 1. Sorry, with the strength of 2. No, sorry again. Strength of 3, roll is 3, and modifier is -1, so the result is 2. Nothing. So they suffered some heavy losses and achieved nothing. Okay, that's all for my air units. Yes, that's all. So, next we have airborne phase, and I have these 3 glider infantry battalions landing on Malta. I decided to land them here because this is clear terrain, and glider infantry is much more vulnerable for losses from the terrain than airborne units, so I think that making them land here would be better, even if they are in danger of being fired by this heavy anti-air artillery. Let's see. I will start with them. Let's roll where they are going to land. 2. Oh, they are moved. 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, no good. They are landing here. Well, at last this is clear terrain, but there is a gun here, so I have to make a roll for heavy anti-air guns firing on the landing units from 2 hexes. 1. Wow, that was lucky roll. No losses. Good. And now I have to resolve a combat, because they landed adjacent to the enemy unit. Let's roll for any surprise. No, nothing happened, so I can attack. Let's check. Oh, I almost forgot about one more thing. You might probably remember that I said before that at each turn, when we introduce new units that are going to land on Malta from sea or air, we have to roll to see if they suffered any losses while being transported on the island. So let's make a roll for this. 2. This means that these units suffered 4 points. No good. No good. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, now everything is fine. And let's return here, so they have 3, and because they are attacking during their drop, so they have 2 against this British battalion that has 4, so it's 2 against 4, so it's 1 to 2, and 1 to 3 because they are fortified, 1 to 4 because they are in the city. So it is 1 to 4, no good. 9 in the 1 to 4. Let's go to the combat table. 1 to 4 and the result 9A2. So they have to retreat 2 hexes. 1, 2, and let's roll for their losses. Now they had 2 and they have minus 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 because of the terrain, so they are using a verse of 1. No losses for Brits. And now German losses. Brits had 4 plus 1 because of the fortification, plus 2 because of the city, so it's 1620. 9 in the 1620 is 2. Oh my. 147 suffers 2 more points. And it now has only 1 strength point. Okay, now them. Let's see if they will do better. 4. Oh, they are moved. 1. They are moved here. No good. No anti-air artillery fire. That's good. But we have to resolve this combat. They have 3, so it's 2 against 4. So it's same situation like before. So it's 1 to 4 and 3. 1 to 4 and 3 is A1. So they have to retreat 1 hex. And now let's roll for losses. Oh, sorry. British losses. That was pretty close, but no losses. And now German losses. 5, 1 point at last. So they are not in that bad shape like their comrades. And now this battalion. 4, they are moved as well, and 6. Okay, they are moved here, so this means they suffer no losses. So that's for airdrop. Yes, that's all for the airdrop. Okay, next we have a sea landing phase. In this phase we can unload our units on the shores of the island. But there is a limit here that says that we can unload only 6 points of strength in a single turn, and we can unload only infantry units as long as we don't have any town on the seashore controlled. If we get such a town, then we are allowed to unload artillery, tanks and so, and we can unload 18 points of strength. But as for now we can unload only 6. So I decided to do it here. I know it could be probably more effective to do it here, but there are these coastal batteries here. Each of them has a very big range, and our unit would start here, and it would have to move somewhere here. And during this time this artillery would be able to shell such a unit. Along with this coastal battery here, they would probably massacre these ships before they will arrive onto shore. So I decided to unload them somewhere here because it will be safer. So I am moving onto this hex. No enemy artillery in range. Now I am moving here. No enemy artillery in range. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, and they are making their land here. So they can, now this artillery cannot fire at them. It can only fire when they are on the ships. And these ships are returning home, so not much stuff to do. And now, since they were loaded in the unloaded in this turn, they can only use a half of their movement points. They have 4, so they can move only with 2 movement points only. So next we have a movement phase, and let's move our units. What I am going to do, I think I would like to get rid of this anti-air artillery here, so they will move here. They will 1, 2, 3, 4 move here. I hope it will be enough to get rid of them. They will go here into this town, and now these Italians have only 2 points, so they move here and they cannot move any further. These Germans, I think they will attack here anyway. And now they are going to try to get rid of this heavy anti-air artillery. They will continue their attack here, and as for them, they will try to help to capture this town, because it is a seashore town, so it is pretty important to control this. And 1, 2, 2.5. Oh, good. They can reach this hex as well. So that's all for the German movement phase. Yes, that's all. So let's go and resolve all the attacks. I will start here with these 2 German battalions attacking this British battalion, and I will use my ground attack air force. So I have 2-1 and 1-1. So they have 6, and plus 5 it is 11. 11 against 3. 11 against 3 is 4-1. 4-1, 3-1, 2-1 because of the hill. So it's 2-1, and man, 2-1 and 10, it is A1. When? Why? I was certain it will be enough to force them to back away, but looks like I wasn't right. So now I have to roll for losses. As for allies, at last they suffer 1 point loss. And as for Germans, oh wow, they suffer 2 points losses. Now this is it was disaster. Who's going to be next? Here. Oh, I forgot about counter-attack phase, but I think I wouldn't make any counter-attacks anyway. So now they are all going to attack this anti-air artillery, and because it is light anti-air, it halves their strength. So now I have to check. 1, 2 has 4, so they have 2. 3, 1 has 3, so they have 2, and they have 1, so they have 1. So I have 2, 4 and 5 against against 2. So it's 5 against 2, so it's 2-1, 3-1 because these are combat engineers, and 4-1 because they are attacking from different directions. Sorry, opposite directions. So it's 5-1, 4-1, 3-1 because of the hills, so it's 3-1, and 7 in the 3-1 it is B1. Okay, and you can see that this anti-air artillery has a movement value of 0, so it cannot move, and because of that it is forced to suffer losses. So it suffers 1 point loss. And now let's roll for the losses after combat. Germans had 5, so it's 4-5, plus 1 because of attacks from opposite directions, and minus 2 because of the hills. No losses for allies, and the German losses, allies had 1, sorry, the allies had 2, plus 2 and minus 1, 4-5, no losses for Germans. Well, at last. Okay, next they are attacking here, and I will use my air support in this combat. So let me check how many points I have here. So it's 3-2, it has 2, 4 and 5 plus 5. So it's 10 against 5 against 2. So it's 5 to 1, 6 to 1 because of the combat engineers, 5 to 1, 4 to 1 because of the heals. So it's 4 to 1. Oh, gosh. It is A1. Even with such strength, Germans are forced to withdraw. Okay, so now losses rolls. English losses. Well, at last they suffer 1 point loss. But even so, they managed to stand, to keep their positions, and the German losses 6. At last, no losses for Germans. That's pretty good. And let's go to the next combat. The next battle goes here. I will attack these heavy anti-air guns with these 2 units supported by my artillery. So it's 1-3 and 2-3. They have 5 together and 7 because of these guns. So I have 7 against 2-10. 2. So I have 7 against 2, so it's 3 to 1, 2 to 1 and 1 to 1 because of the heals. My God. It is A1. Again, Germans are forced to retreat. And now let's roll for the losses. German losses 9, 1 point. Germans are really doing bad. And now British losses, no losses at all. Hell. And now I'm going to attack here, and I will use my ground attack air force, but first I have to roll for this anti-air artillery. I hoped I will be able to eliminate it with my attack, but you can see it was a failure. Oh sorry, 1 roll. 3. It is heavy anti-air artillery against ground attack. It is 3, U1. This means that this unit suffers 1 point loss and is forced to retreat. So 5. No good. And I have to attack alone. It is not going to be good. I have 1 and 3M. So they have 8. 8 against 3rd Company of Combat Engineers. It is 3. So it's 8 against 3, so it's 4 to 1. 4 to 1, 3 to 1, 2 to 1 because of the heals, and 1 to 1 because of the fortification. So it's 1 to 1, 8. No good. I believe this means that attacker has to retreat. No, they have to stay where they are. Well, at last they are not forced to withdraw. So losses roll for Germans 8, 1 point, and British losses no losses. And one more final battle goes here. Okay. 2M and 2-3. It is 4 and 4. This is 8. And now 47 Glider Regiment. 9, 12 and 15. So I have 15. Not bad, I believe. Not bad. 15 against 1 HR. No, they have 4. So it's 15 against 4. So it's 4 to 1. 3 to 1. 2 to 1. So it's 2 to 1. Maybe I will be I will be lucky this time. Nope. Nope. 9. It is nothing. So each side remains on its hex. All I have to do is to make a losses roll. So Germans had 15 minus 2, so the 4-5 verse. no losses for Allies, and German losses 1 point. Okay, Germans are doing very bad. Germans are doing very bad. They achieved almost nothing. They captured no city on the with the port, and I believe they are in a very dangerous situation. Okay, next we have supply phase that we can skip, because like I said, units, all units have a supply in the day 1. So that's all for Germans. Let's go to Allies. Alright, time for Allies. What Allies are going to do? Maybe I should try attack here again. Hope this will be more successful this time. And now I will move this battalion 1, 2, 3, 4 to attack here. This unit 1, 2, 3, 4 will go here. They will fortify themselves here. Alright. What else I can do? As for this position, I don't think I need to make any attacks for now. I think that defending my positions should be enough to keep Germans busy. So I will fortify this unit and that unit. So these Italians will have a hard time moving here. And the biggest problem is here. I don't have any units to support these positions, so all I can do is to hope that my allies will stay here before till the end of this day. So let's hope, and I think that's all when it comes to the British movement phase. Next we have a German counterattack phase. Any Germans are going to counterattack? I don't think so. I don't think so. They don't. I can't see any weak Allied units that I might like to attack. So no counterattack. So let's go to the British combat phase. Okay, I think I will start here. I will attack this German combat engineers company with this British battalion supported by this artillery. So this artillery has a strength of 2, I believe. No, 3. So I have 3 plus 3. So I have 6 against 1. So it's 6 to 1 and 5 to 1, 4 to 1 because of the hills. Combat engineers modifier works only if they are attacking, not when they are defending. So I have 4 to 1 and 9. 9 in the 4 to 1 is B1. So German company retreats 1 hex. Brits are moving here, and now let's roll for losses. They had 10. Sorry, they have 6. So it's 6-10, minus 2 because of the hills, so it's 2-3, no losses for Germans, and the Germans had 1 plus 2 because of the hills, 8, no losses for Allies. Good. Next I am attacking here with these tanks and infantry, supported by this artillery, so I have 4, this infantry has 8m4, so it is 8. 8 plus 5, it is 13. It is 13 against 1, 2, 4. So it's 13 against 4, so it's 3 to 1, 4 to 1, 5 to 1 because of tanks, 4 to 1, 3 to 1 because of the hills. So it's 3 to 1 and 10. I expected something better. 3 to 1 and 10, it is nothing. So they stay where they are. And now losses roll. Allies had 13, so it's 11, 15, minus I have plus 2 because of the tanks and minus 2 because of the hills, so it's same verse. 11, okay, Germans suffered 2 points loss. Now this is going to hurt. And British losses, 6, no losses for Brits. And that's all for the British attacks? Yes, that's all. So now we can conclude this turn. Yes, since no British units are surrounded by the enemy, no, all of them are in supply. So we are ending the, turn 2 and we are moving into turn 3, which is night turn. And night turns are usually pauses. There is a little to do during the night turn. Well, you will see. Okay, as for night turn, we are starting with air phase, but we cannot use our most of our air units during the night turns. We can use our bombers, but they have their they have a negative modifier -1 for their attacks. So I might try to use them, but well, I don't think I would like to. So that's all for the air phase. We cannot perform any airborne operations during the night turn, so no airborne phase. We cannot make sea landing, so we cannot transport more units by the sea. And we moved straight into the movement phase. And in the movement phase, our units can move only 1 hex during the night turn, so they cannot do much. And it is important to say now that when you are attacking during the night phase, your strength is halved, and there are some additional negative modifiers. So as long as you don't have some overwhelming advantage, you don't want to attack during the night turns. So what I'm going to do is to spend all my movement points to fortify these Germans. Why I am fortifying them? Because when unit is fortified, then it doesn't have to attack enemy adjacent units. So I will fortify them. I will fortify them too. And I will fortify them. So they don't have to attack enemy units on the adjacent hex during the combat phase. And do I want to move any of my units? Yes, I will move them here, because that's how far they can move during the night turn. And that's all. Yes, that's all. Next we have a British counterattack phase. And no, Brits are not going to counterattack, and the Germans are not going to attack either, because as long as you don't have some really big advantage, it is pointless to attack during the night turns. So that's all for Germans, and now for Brits. And now Brits. We are moving straight into the movement phase, and what I'm going to do is to fortify them, and them. Yes, I know that attacking here might be effective, but I cannot use my artillery during the night turns too, so it wouldn't be effective. So not much else to do for Brits. I will just keep my position and wait for the next day. Maybe I will take this town. So no combat either, so this concludes day 1. As you can see, the situation is not very good for Germans. I think that the higher chance of success they have here. If they will be able to capture this town, they might be able to get some reinforcements, but starting with the next day, they will be all out of supply. This means that they will have their strength halved. So they will be definitely weaker, and even if they will get some reinforcements from the air, then such reinforcements might suffer losses during the landing, during the transport, as you could see before. So I'm not sure if Germans are able to win. I would need to play 2 or 3 days more to see how the things are going on, but I think I was able to show you the basics of the mechanics to see how this battle goes on and stuff like that. So, as for today, that's all. Thank you for watching and see you next time.